Hey, everybody. All right, we are taking a look at this resume here. This is a resume from a real person. I've done my best to, I think I have hidden all of their personal confidential information and replaced it with sort of like lorem ipsum. This is a real person. They have asked me for a resume review. I'm going to give some opinions based on what has worked for me and worked for many of my colleagues. I have, just for reference, I have my resume here on the side, on the right-hand side. Um, this is just a resume which has worked for me. You guys in the comments, you're more than welcome. Give your opinions on, the formatting of my own resume. But yeah, this is just what has happened to work for me, and I'll use it to sort of reference some things in this person's resume. So we have Samson here. Um, I'm just going to dive right in. Software developer. This might not be necessary. This subtitle here. This should basically be obvious from looking at the jobs themselves. You shouldn't necessarily need to explicitly say this. The QR code, I don't think this is really adding anything. If you want to link um, a GitHub or something like that, that might be fine. The one thing that I do recommend is if you do have links, they shouldn't have any different formatting from, make sure if they're blue, change them to black. This is partly just for sort of like clarity in the resume, partly for uniformity of, the visual, but really it's mostly just for like the ATS parsing. So everything here, I brought this into Canva. These were all visual icons, all of these little rectangle boxes. I guess Canva just didn't like the icons. I don't think the icons, the visuals are really adding anything. Certainly not for the ATS parsing. Here's the thing, right? If you're going for some sort of design role, maybe you want your resume to look more designy. Here, I don't think it's adding anything. And so really this is sort of my mindset as I'm going through this. If anything doesn't add something, and what I mean by add something is, make it more likely that someone will see competence and someone will see, okay, this person is legitimate. They are who they say they are. They have the skills that look more or less on par for what this job is looking for. If any element here does not add something, it can only take away, right? So all of these icons can go. Really all of these personal information can be smaller. It doesn't need to take up so much space. I don't remember exactly what this was linking to. It might have been a link to GitHub, or it might have been a link to Twitter or something. Socials can go. You don't really need socials on here. Doesn't add anything. Most people reviewing your resume, the initial stage, whether it's a technical or non-technical recruiter or hiring manager at a company, um, there's a very small chance that they will actually look at any of your links. Certainly not social media. I don't think that's adding anything. The summary section. The summary section can be useful if you have some specific type of offering. Let's say you are a senior software engineer and the thing that you are very good at is mentoring people. And the type of role that you are going for is something to do with mentoring people. That can be something that you can talk about in probably a single sentence in your summary section. But for the vast majority of us as individual contributors, I don't really think the summary section is going to add that much unless you have some specific value offer. Here, versatile software engineer, strong foundation in software development. Shouldn't need to say this. This should be obvious. History of success in the US government. If you're going for a government public sector angle, this could be useful. If you're not specifically going for public, something having to do with public service or the government, it's not really adding anything. Saying what companies you've worked for should be obvious from the summary section. Not this summary section, sorry, the experience section, right? Your bulleted lists of the companies that you've worked for. It should be obvious from there. Proficient in full stack development. You shouldn't need to explicitly say this. This should be made obvious by your bullet points. Specializing in the creation of scalable and interactive web applications. Again, this is sort of something that's just kind of expected in the job. You shouldn't have to say this. Actively contributed to team achievements through exceptional technical skills. Now, okay, so if you're going for a team leader angle, this might be something you want to talk about, but probably not. Meticulous attention to detail. Again, all of these things should be exposed via your bullet points. You shouldn't have to explicitly say them. Python, JavaScript, Java, Bash. Yeah, a much better way to list out all of the technical, languages, frameworks, libraries that you are proficient in is just to have a skills section right at the top of your resume. It's extremely easy to read for a human reader. It's extremely easy to parse for an ATS. And I'm going to jump down to the bottom of your resume here as well, because at the bottom, you've done something that I often see done on design resumes. So you've listed your skills, and it's not shown here because of the icons. The icons didn't transfer, but what you've done here is said like, okay, TypeScript, I have 3 out of 5 stars. This format of doing your skills like this, it's not adding anything. And again, if it's not adding anything, it's only going to take away, right? I would just go with, extremely straightforward. These are my skills. This is what I'm proficient in. This is easily parsable by an ATS. No visuals. Ditch the visuals. Okay. Did I miss anything here? No, I think, yeah, let's continue to the bulleted lists. Again, remove the icons. Full-time, I don't necessarily know if you need to say full-time. I don't know if that's adding anything. Software developer, that's fine. Agile development and collaboration, you don't need to explicitly say this. This should be either implicit based on your roles, or just expected as part of the job, right? One thing you can do to make your dates a little bit clearer is to include the months. Like I have, Sep, May, April, September. You can include the location, that's fine. The location in general, if you are in a major city, it might help. If your location is in the middle of nowhere, it's probably not helping. It's probably only going to hurt you. If you live in the middle of nowhere, if you don't live in a major city, I would say probably don't include a location on your resume. It's only going to hurt. That being said, you have to be open to the possibility of relocation to a major city, right? So, USA. I think, oh, you know what? This was one that I changed. It had originally said the actual location. Yeah, so the locations is fine for for your experience points. Your overall location, yeah, I would really only include this if you're in a major city, LA, New York, Austin, whatever. Or if you are specifically looking for let's say you're specifically looking for a job in Seattle, maybe it could help to say that you're in Seattle. I don't know. Okay. Let's just talk about, right for now, let's just talk about formatting and things like that. Formatting, visuals, before we actually jump into the content of what you're saying in your bullet points. Okay, so this is way too much content, way too many pages for the amount of experience that you have. From your resume, it looks like you have 3-4 years of experience on paper. We're about the same, you and I. 2019, about maybe a little bit before then, right? So I have about 5, 6, 7 years of experience on paper. You have about 3 or 4. 6 pages of resume is way too much. You can 100% condense this down into one single page. Having more pages of experience will only hurt at this stage in the game. And the way to go about this, I will say, probably the best thing to do is to tailor make um, maybe 2 or possibly 3 different resumes, right? Because you have all of your content of your bullet points um, broken out into front-end development, back-end development, infrastructure, localization, internationalization. So what I would say is probably the best thing that you can do is make a single page front-end leaning resume, make a single page back-end leaning resume, and maybe if you want, make a single page like full stack resume. It really depends. And then you can use those tailored resumes to apply for those types of jobs. But as it is right here, nobody is going to read this much content. This is just way too much. If you have like 15 or 20 years of experience, you can have 2 pages. You can have a 2-page resume. But this, yeah, you're not this is not helping at all. You can definitely remove this. Yeah, skills should just be the skills listed out, the things that you're proficient in. Education. If this is you should say what this certificate is in. It just, before I transferred this into Canva, it had the icon and it just said certificate. Yeah, I don't know from looking at this what the certificate is in. At this point, right, you have 4 years of experience. I don't think it matters that you don't have it looks like, I guess you don't have a university degree. Doesn't matter. That's no problem at all. Yeah, like yeah, of course, there will be some hiring managers that say, okay, this person didn't go to college, in the trash. But you're gonna have just as many opportunities where, the hiring manager doesn't really care. It doesn't matter at this point. They're really just looking at your experience at this point. But that is curious to me that it's just a certificate. I don't know what that certificate is in. So maybe it would help to clarify that. If by clarifying that, it exposes some, I don't know, maybe it's a certificate in people management in information technology, and maybe that's not relevant to your job search, then I don't know, maybe you can leave this section off entirely. I don't know. You can, and again, like any of these things that I'm suggesting, you can play around with these things, right? You can do different versions of the resume, send it out and see what works and then iterate on it. Nothing I'm saying should be set in stone. It's just suggestions for things to play around with and see if anything sticks. All right, let's go into some of the actual content of what you're saying here. Okay, agile. See, okay. When I see like sort of weak language like this, I participated in. That's fine, but it doesn't really demonstrate mastery of anything. It just says to me that like, okay, you were thrust into this meeting. Maybe you had some useful things to say, but like it doesn't really show to me. It doesn't show like super competence or leadership skills or anything. So I'm not exactly sure like what the point of this would be. It just tells me that like you've worked on a team before, which I guess is good. And by the way, I'm not like, please don't get me wrong. Like I'm not trying to like shit on your resume. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to give you a completely unfiltered, unbiased opinion of what a hiring manager might think, and I hope that is useful. So I'm really not trying to say this is like bad. I'm just trying to give you completely raw and hopefully useful information. Yeah, sprint planning and retrospectives contributing to the successful delivery of a. Okay, so everything except this, right? All of this is sort of implicit from working on teams. It's expected that you should be able to do this stuff. You shouldn't necessarily need to explicitly say it. Now, this tells me about what the actual application is. If you had some sort of decision making in this process of actually building this application, that is something that you want to talk about more. Enhanced project transparency and team collaboration, SharePoint, Confluence. Yeah, again, all of this is expected from the job. If there is any aspects of this that you led or, ideated on, let's say that you contributed, not even contributed, but you sort of made some decisions around what the onboarding process looked like or what the deployment process looked like. Those are things that you could talk about. But just, being a part of a team that did this stuff, that's expected from the job. Jira, yeah, again, this is expected on the job. Ensuring efficiency, transparency. Yeah, I would say, you're using the word managed, which is a strong word, but you're talking about something that every engineer does. So if there was any portion of this project of this process which was unique to actually like managing workflows, deciding things, working with other stakeholders to improve any processes in any particular way, that is something you should highlight. Collaborated with cross-functional teams to add multilingual support to a Next.js application. Yeah, this is meaty. This is good stuff. I want to know more about this. This is the really, these are the heavy hitters here. Front end. Yeah, again, so right, if you're tailoring a front end resume, yeah, we're gonna want to emphasize front end stuff, and likewise for back end, we're gonna want to emphasize back end stuff. Okay. Let's see. Okay, let me start by saying, as a hiring manager, there's people go about resume reviews in many different ways. You're gonna have some hiring managers that take 5-10 seconds total to look over the entirety of your resume, and that's all you get. You only get 5 to 10 seconds to impress them. So their eyes, when they look down your resume, they're gonna look from top to bottom, close to the left-hand side of the screen, and they're probably going to be looking for key terms. So when I look down from the top to bottom, I'm here in Participate Agile. I'm looking down real fast. I see Agile, I see Jira, I see Formic, I see React, I see Redux, I see React again, create context, I see API, I see Tailwind CSS. So I'm just kind of giving you an idea of what these people, and remember that these people might be technical or non-technical. And so I look down, I see Agile, I see Jira. I'm like, okay, yeah, fine. This is where the good stuff starts coming. Formic, Redux, React, API, Tailwind CSS. I see this, which as a hiring manager, I'm probably not going to know what this is. Another hiring manager, I'm probably not going to know what this is. Next.js, that's going to be a good thing. So in general, top level overview, what you're going to want to do is try to pull all of these key terms wherever you have these key terms, wherever they are useful. Try to make sure that these sit much closer to the left-hand side of your bullets. We're going to want to try to like front load all of your bullet points with your technologies, right? So rather than saying this, maybe we can say something like designed Next.js application, comma, implementing dynamic stateful user forms, blah, blah, blah. Something like that. Okay. Let's talk maybe a little bit more about the content of some of these bullet points. Streamlining creation and validation processes, resulting in dynamic and user-friendly forms that significantly improved. This is a pretty good bullet point. Some things that I like here. Maybe this is sort of like a something that I kind of like and I kind of don't like. Streamlining form creation and validation processes. This is what Formic does, but I want to know what was the exact problem that you solved, to the best of your ability to explain this without like crossing over like NDA stuff. I want to know exactly what was the problem that you were trying to solve by using this particular library. To the best of your ability, if you can explain something like that, that's a good thing. So resulting in dynamic and user-friendly forms that significantly improves user experience in web applications. Yeah, so all of this kind of reads as like, the overview on the Formic website of what this thing is for. I want to know more about how you used it to achieve results, rather, whether that be, um, you know, we looked at observability tooling and we saw that after implementing this thing, we had a 50% increase in users, or, customer satisfaction was up X%. And as a practice, you're going to get a lot more, you're going to get a lot more kudos on your resume when you're able to include these shiny, I don't know what you want to call them, numerical indicators of success, right? 50%, 100%, 5 to 90%, 170%. These just look good, especially to non-technical recruiters. They're going to say, "Oh, holy shit, this person actually like, you know, you didn't just use Formic, you actually, architected this thing in such a way that it drove results," right? That's what they want to see. And a great place that you can go to check your resume against, how it is performing on these types of metrics is to go to resumeworded.com. Pass your resume through there. They'll give you a score and they'll say, you need to include more of these types of things in your bullet points. This particular verbiage is weak. This particular verbiage is strong. You need to expand on this particular thing. Resumeworded.com. Really, really good resource. Utilize React alongside Redux for building scalable, architecting a robust. Yeah. This bullet point is too long. I would say in general, your bullet points probably should be no longer than like two lines total. There's always a way that you can say something in more dense language and take up less space. All right, let's move a little bit forward. Yeah, same sort of thing. Front load these terms. You should always, this should be a separate, this might be a type, actually, this might have been a typo in the import into Canva. This should be a separate bullet point. All of these terms, these heavy tech terms should be front loaded. DynamoDB is at the front here. That's good. Python, definitely move that to the front of the bullet point. Yeah, I don't know, maybe I see that this is definitely not the beginning of this bullet point here, so maybe something happened in my import. I don't think you need these section titles of backend, localization, front end. I don't think you need to section out your bullet points like that. That's something that you can definitely play around with. I don't think it's necessary. Try it without them. See what kind of results you get. Okay. Collaborated with international teams. This isn't really adding anything. This might be useful if you are going for an angle where you are positioning yourself as a leader who has expertise with working with international teams. If you're just going for an individual contributor role, it's not really adding anything. Again, like I feel like this is a lot of kind of fluff of just stuff that is just expected on the job. I really want to know about the hard technical and procedural, where relevant, hard technical problems specific to these jobs that you solved and how you solved them. I want to know about your decision-making process. Front load this. Mentor junior developers. This is good stuff. I want to know more about this. I want to dig in more on this. This is awesome. This is awesome. I would definitely, depending on the type of role that you're going for, I would ask you about this in an interview. This should be a separate bullet point if it is useful. Although, yeah, again, this is not something you should have to explicitly say. This is something that should be demonstrated within your technical bullet points. Source control. Again, I don't think you need the section title. Don't need this bullet point at all. This is expected. Some of the other stuff, your mileage may vary depending on what type of role you're going for. But, you tell me whether you think this stuff is relevant to the type of job that you're applying for. Again, like, we don't want to go crazy with tailoring these resumes. I definitely do not recommend creating a different resume for every job you're applying for. I don't think that is worth your time. However, to have like, 2 or 3 roughly tailored resumes to different types of jobs is probably a good thing. This should be 2 lines. We try to want to avoid as much as possible these like orphaned bullet points here with a lot of white space. I've kind of hit on a lot of the same stuff. Yeah, this is good stuff. This is good stuff. I want to know all about these things. There is some kind of like dry violation stuff right here. Maybe you're saying sort of similar things in different bullet points. I want to know more about the hard technical problems that you've solved. If this is something that you feel like was an impressive piece of work, highlight it and dig more into the why of why you did it. Same kind of stuff here. Front load your terms, clean up those orphaned bullet points. If you can fit a sentence into 1 line, that's great. If it takes up 2, try to get it towards the end of the second line, as close to the end of the second line as possible. Yeah, you've got a lot of really good technical stuff to work with here. I think overall it's way too long. It's way too much space taken up. Yeah, see if you can craft from this 2 or 3 different, more tailored resumes. And I think, and then start sending those out and see what kind of results you get from those, and then iterate based on that. None of this is ever set in stone, right? Good stuff. Good stuff.